crikey, here we go then. Actually, it could be potentially good news, because the Deputy Prime Minister, Nick Clegg, is backing a plan to offer free shares to the public in the part-nationalised banks of RBS and Lloyds. The idea is that when shares are sold in banks which were bailed out by the government back in 2008, individual taxpayers will benefit from any long-term gains. Apparently 45 million people on the electoral register would all get shares. You won't actually have to say, oh, you like British Gas, remember that one? As it Telsted or whatever, and we all had to sort of apply for it. No, you would get them. And the Treasury has said it would examine the proposals. Roddy Cohn is with us right now, our financial expert. Hello there, Roddy, how are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic as ever, thanks, Phil.
Good. What do you make of this? I mean, potentially it could be good news, but there again, with the Greek debt crisis, it might be bad news.
Yeah, if they start throwing in a few Greek bonds along with the shares, and we all need to start getting a bit worried, really. In reality, I think it's good news. You know, I think it shows that the Lib Dems are obviously trying to honour some of the things that they feel they stand for, about having integrity when dealing with the British public. And that's largely where the driver for this is coming from, the Liberal Democrats, where they want to see money effectively returned to the taxpayer that was used to bail out the banks in the first place. And in that respect, it's very, very good news.
Yes, it seems very democratic, doesn't it? I mean, in the past, for example, I mentioned the British Gas, but we know when the government then nationalised things, you actually had to apply to buy shares, didn't you? In this particular case, we'd all get them in theory if you're a taxpayer on the electoral register.
That's right, Phil. So what's going to happen is the bank shares will actually have to get above a certain value for everybody to receive them, and that's roughly around 74 pence per share for Lloyds Bank, which at the moment is around 42 pence a share, and 51 pence for Royal Bank of Scotland. Now, once it goes above those levels, the shares will actually have a value, and it's really, in some respects, it is very much a good thing, because it means that people are going to be more interested in owning bank shares again after there's been a big crisis of confidence. It's clearly a way of trying to get back some of the taxpayers' money into their hands, as opposed to it just getting lost in the great big slush bucket called, government.
Or the city. How much will we actually get? I mean, how many shares will we end up with? I mean, could we end up with just £1.42 or something, or will it actually be sort of something worth having?
Yeah, I think, you know what, Phil, as always with these ideas, the devil is in the detail. My granny used to love saying that to me, and she was so right, really. She was a wise old owl.
Oh, I like your granny. Yeah,
she was good. And do you know what? She did a mean Irish soda bread as well, I can tell you that. So she was good. She was good at all sorts of things. I guess we could be talking about £1,000. It could be possibly as big as that. But of course it will be determined by what the actual share price is. And so if you were given, say, 1,000 shares, and the share price was £1, then roughly you'd be 300 quid better off. So those are the things that you're going to have to watch for. But in real terms, the banking shares are likely to recover in the long term. You're probably better off hanging on to them and waiting for them to fully recover, so that people, almost their memories of the crisis of 2008 has gone, and therefore banking shares will revert to, well, depending on regulation, but banking shares will probably revert to levels of around £2.50 to £3.50 a share. All
right, okay, well, that sounds good, doesn't it? And just finally, what about other shareholders? Are their nose out of joint?
Yeah, inevitably, because I think if you start to come up with plans like this, in the jargon in the city, you'll like this bit, is it's dilutive. And it's,
yeah. Otherwise we get some of the money for a change.
It's easier probably to talk in terms for the rest of us, the rest of the normal world, in terms of it being a bit like orange squash. When you pour water into it, it dilutes it down, and so what happens is, if you're already a shareholder in Lloyds Bank or RBS, then the idea that they're going to somehow issue, say, 41 million extra shares that previously weren't in circulation would normally have a negative effect on those people who already hold the shares, because there are that many more in issue now, and then it creates almost like an oversupply. So it does have leave a bit of a bitter taste if you're an existing shareholder.
Shame. Anyway, Roddy, good to speak to you. Have a great evening.
I've behaved myself this time, haven't I, Phil?
You have. You've been very good.
15 minutes. And as it happens.